Welcome into Baylor Connections, visiting today with Doug McNamee, two-time Baylor alum, longtime Baylor family member, and now Baylor's Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, our athletic director. And Doug, appreciate you being with us here on Baylor Connections. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I know it's been a very busy stretch to start things off.
It has, but moments like these to get to sit down with friends and talk about something you love dearly like Baylor. This is a fun thing for me, so thank you.
Well, thank you. A lot of us around here have known you going back to around the time you were a recent graduate. Your passion for Baylor over the years has evidenced itself in a lot of different ways. But in this role now as AD, I'm curious. Let's just dive right into what it's been like since you were announced in December. So how would you describe the first, about 2 months now being AD? It has been what?
Yeah, I would use the word surreal. Although I'd say as the job gets more in depth, the sur part starts to fall off and it starts to get real. But a rush, a blessing, just a dream. Could throw a lot of adjectives out there to describe the experience so far. It has been just a dream come true and a gift for sure.
What's one thing that's been most surprising or enjoyable to you?
I think that there's been some sport programs, one you work closely with women's basketball. And I didn't know Nikki because she'd come after I had departed, and just getting to know her and seeing her program up close and personal, and obviously with the seasonal nature of where we're at right now, certainly success obviously helps in that regard. But that's been a real joy, is to get to know some of the coaches that I just didn't have a relationship with because they had come up, after I had departed. Has really been a blessing for me for sure.
Well, obviously a lot of exciting things still to come as we head into March with basketball and then baseball and softball, our spring sports forthcoming. Let's zoom out a little bit here. As you look at Baylor, survey the scene from this seat, give us a few challenges and a few opportunities that you're excited about tackling.
Yeah, challenges certainly. We're in the midst of a disappointing, men's basketball season, and to Scott Drew's credit, he's raised the standard so high here that anything less than the tournament feels like a disappointment. And I know it's been hard for everyone, coach, the team, and the program, and obviously a disappointing football season as well. So, I think we have to acknowledge that two of our more high profile sports are in the midst or have completed seasons that have been hard for everybody involved. And so there's just a general, disappointment associated with that I think we have to be mindful of and honestly recognize the intent to get better and focus on that. So I would say that in terms of the challenge. As far as opportunities is concerned, the common theme with almost every interaction that I've had with the Baylor family and constituencies, usually it starts or it ends with a question from them asking me, how can I help? How can I be a part of helping to bring the vision and life together of what this is all about? And so that eagerness, that willingness to do your part to help us go where we want to go. It's been prevalent for a long time, but to get back into it and now be in the seat that I'm in, to have just an overwhelming amount of folks that are asking that. And candidly, at this point, what I'm doing is calibrating to figure out how do we mobilize the family to make the biggest difference. And so truthfully, right at this point, I don't necessarily have an direct answer to them other than to say, keep coming to games, keep supporting us, keep praying. Those are all relevant, but I think we'll certainly be more intentional about giving people more tangible, direct ways to activate as we go. And that's a big part of what I'm trying to focus on right now is how do we mobilize the Baylor family to benefit and ultimately get us to achieve the success that we're seeking.
The Baylor family cares, right? Sometimes they're fired up about something they don't like. Oftentimes they're fired up about something they do, but there's that care factor that's high.
Yeah, and I've talked about it before, being upset and disappointed versus being apathetic. And in an apathetic community, we wouldn't have any dialogue with them. They'd be gone. We wouldn't be able to talk to them. So people, if they express disappointment, even had a conversation yesterday with a Bear Foundation member, season ticket holder that wanted to let me know about, experience that wasn't great. And the effort and energy for them to spend time to tell me that is because they care enough to want to make it better. And it's easier probably for them to just be upset and go away. So those reminders are opportunities, to understand, hey, we got things we can get better at. And if we can operate at a higher level, then certainly the opportunities are endless in terms of what we can accomplish.
It makes sense that given the timing in which you were hired, we've seen you most at Foster since you were hired. I know you're a big fan, obviously, over the years. how much of your time at Foster is being a fan and cheering? How much of it is noticing things or talking to people or hearing from fans like that?
It's been an interesting experience, in the seat, because I think first and foremost, I want to reconnect with people and cultivate those relationships. And most importantly, tell people thanks. I mean, that's the thing that I keep reminding folks is a lot of people will be like, hey, what can I do for you? Right now, it's me saying thank you. Thank you for creating this department and this opportunity for me. But you definitely want to engage with folks, and getting to watch the game and be a fan has really had to take a back seat to that. At the same time, I would tell you, one of the things I'm eager to do and candidly haven't had a chance to do really because I've been so intentional about wanting to meet and spend time with people that I have missed, is been to really sit down and analyze the overall production of the game and the overall experience. And that starts, well before the first horn for the game starting, the tip off. It starts from people showing up, pulling in the parking lot, walking through, the plaza to get to the arena, getting their tickets scanned to come in, and just the overall production within the game. Probably one of the things that I'm eager to do that I haven't is to really take that perspective and really study and analyze that and help provide input and feedback to continuously improve that. And so that's something I'm eager and definitely will probably have a couple games where people will be like, is Doug even here? And I'll be there, but I really want to be in a spot where I can, take note and kind of walk through the production with our team and see where I think there's opportunities for us to get better.
Well, let's talk about the fan experience. That's something you've discussed a lot since being introduced as athletic director. Looking at that, I'm curious, what's your take on, there's those elements like, you think back to when the Baylor women played TCU at Foster Pavilion. There were a lot of fun one-offs, a magician, giveaways, concession deals. So there's the fun things that provide a little splash, but then there's also the baseline foundational elements of a game that are there every game. What's it like for you kind of looking at both of those and thinking about the whole fan experience? Do you have a philosophy or a take on that?
Yeah, I mean, broad philosophy, I'll reverse answer your question. Broad philosophy is reduce the points of friction for the consumer. It's an effort to take the money and spend it, to buy tickets and to gather friends or family to come to a game. In this day and age with how well games are produced from a TV perspective, every game essentially is on TV. You can be a fan and never leave your couch. So we really have to earn people's willingness to make the effort to come to games. And I think that's really a responsibility for us to reflect and say, what are the points of friction that make this difficult? And how can we help remove those? How can we help eliminate those where possible? And so philosophy, that's what I look at and just trying to be mindful. And there's always a balance, and certainly there's times where you'd love to do something and just fiscally you're not able to do it. But I do think that there's a short-term, say sacrifice to ensure that that's delivered upon in effort to earn a long-term investment from the fan. So I would say that's first and foremost for me from a broad perspective as it relates to fan experience and what that means and what that looks like.
So you want them to get to the game easy, have it as easy as it can be to get their tickets, to get in, et cetera. What about in the game? Obviously we all want Baylor to win every game, and I know you're as competitive as anyone when it comes to that. But what's it mean to provide an experience in game that's exciting and fun? And even if you're disappointed Baylor lost, you're happy you spent that time there.
I mean, winning cures a lot. Winning makes us all feel good. And losing's hard to overcome, but that's really the challenge. Not to accept losing as an outcome. We want to strive for excellence, but that's really a challenge to put in front of our team is, did we deliver a great experience potentially in spite of the outcome? And I think that's where we're going to really focus our time as an athletic department. It's our coaches' responsibility to deliver, once we get in season, the success on the court. It's my job to give them every opportunity to do so in advance of the season and in advance of the game. But we've got exceptional coaches to do that. But really then the responsibility on our athletic department side comes to how do you deliver success everywhere else? And, I think that's part of the things that we've recently announced as it relates to football. There's some very, very intentional strategies we've taken in a short time period. Things I think we've got bigger plans as we've got more time to build, but whether it be our intent to really lower concession prices and make it affordable for the fans to come to the game and be able to feed their family while they're there. Tailgating is something that we'll talk at length of, and we really spent these first few months to look at how can we provide greater flexibility. And that's a big part of the decisions we've made, is how do we ease those points of friction. Our game time, we're going to announce when we have control. Certainly there's times we don't have control, and that's dictated by TV, but I think you'll see the intentionality associated with, I think the later games are more conducive for a better fan experience, certainly with the heat, and just giving people a great atmosphere on Saturdays to go out and tailgate. So there's things that the timing in short capacity has allowed us to have the opportunity to make adjustments. But I think there's certainly longer term strategies that we've got to immediately go to work on, that will take more time, but we'll be mindful of trying to bring that change in those spaces as well too.
So lower concession prices, that's going to be a hit with everyone. What are some things we can look forward to tailgating wise? What's your vision for that?
Yeah, I mean, I speak often to it because I remember vividly the early days of kind of that tailgating culture coming alive in Floyd Casey. And as a student, it really didn't exist. So it was postgraduate that I saw that. And the thing that's most meaningful for me is tailgating provides us what I feel like is the front door for people that don't have an affinity to Baylor, but live in this community, a chance to get involved. And I remember, at Floyd Casey, just seeing fans that wanted to kind of be a part of the party and experience a fun, enjoyable, accessible day at Floyd Casey and then ultimately McLean. Like I think that tailgating really provides that, and it really opens the door for local individuals and families to come in and feel like they're part of the Baylor family. And so I think we have to be incredibly intentional about the points of friction associated with that. And I would say some of the challenges that have been presented in the past, the rigidity of this is how everything's got to look and costing. We can't just open it up and have no rules. We need to make this a safe, reasonable environment. So we'll certainly do that. But I think giving people more options and trying to be mindful of the cost, because tailgating in itself is a commitment, and the cost and the energy to get up there and be out there all day is difficult. And so if we add layers of further complexity on top of that, I think it's challenging. And knowing your consumer, for some people, like they're okay to pay for the convenience and have everything dialed in. For some people, they're not, and they will do it, but they want to do it themselves and make it as most cost effective as possible. And I think one of the challenges in the past for us is, especially of late, is that we've limited that flexibility for our audience. And this year, the intent is really to open that up and give people options and ability to make tailgating happen with a greater sense of ease.
That's funny. You use the word energy in there. There's an energy with a vibrant tailgating scene that'll be fun to see come back. Let's pivot a little bit, thinking about, obviously there's a lot of changes in college athletics that people have talked about ad nauseum. Let's look at some ways the Baylor family can help in some different ways. We've heard lately about more external NIL. Could you define that for us and why that's important?
Yeah, first I'll say we're a smaller alumni base. So truth is that we really need a unified community, and we need everybody to play their part for us to be successful. And so the NIL world has certainly come with its fair share of twists and turns, and I think a lot of misinformation and confusion on what it actually is. And that's part of the job for us, I think, in the very foreseeable future, is to give people clarity on how they can be a part of it. And for some people, NIL is not an option. They have no interest to participate in that, and that's okay. We have a tremendous amount of scholarship need to deliver the student athlete experience for our student athletes. And so if giving to provide a great student athlete experience and provide the academic experience that Baylor affords, then we need you. And if you want to be more involved and you have a genuine interest to support directly on the NIL side, we will absolutely make that opportunity possible as well. But I think first and foremost, it's really important to be clear to meet people where they're at and what their interests are. And for some people, like I said, scholarships are what drives them. Giving a student athlete a chance to experience Baylor that would not have had that had it not been for the scholarship is a powerful tool for people to be a part of, and a legacy. And for some people, like we know the realities of NIL, and we want to step right up and be integral as it relates to external NIL and follow the guidelines that are out there for us to be able to support through an external NIL. And oftentimes that includes, a business taking advantage of the name, image, and likeness in exchange for benefits in return for that. And so what I would promise and what I would say is we've got to do a better job of showing the lanes of participation and making it clear for people to say, here's where I want to lean in, and making, again, remove those points of friction wherever they want to lean in, we make it easy for them to do so.
So everyone can play a role, really, is what you're saying, in some different way. Business owners on the external side, scholarships. We saw the exciting news a few weeks back of the gift from Chip and Joanna Gaines, the largest gift in Baylor baseball program history, Magnolia Field at Baylor Ballpark. Everyone's got that lane where they can find something that touches their heart and benefits the student athletes.
Yeah, and that's where the relationship with the Central Texas community is so important, because the benefits of a successful athletic program and us experience success on the field has a far it reaches far outreaching in terms of beyond just the Baylor community, but truly to the larger Central Texas community. And so I think, being intentional about creating ways for really genuine NIL opportunities is important for us. And I think some of the, there's been some really successful, campaigns that I've really from afar been taken back by businesses understanding how to really activate student athletes to the benefit of their business. And that's the truest sense of what NIL was meant to be about, whether that be Central National Bank or Raising Cane's, or, I love the Raid, promotion with Bugs and Jeremy Roach from last year. Is just brilliant in the way that they played on that. And there's a lot of great opportunities associated with that. And we just got to make it easier for people to be able to take advantage of it. And giving our student athletes more opportunities ultimately will attract more student athletes. So that's our job as a department to really facilitate that in a successful way.
We got a lot of really vibrant student athletes too. It's kind of fun seeing that side of them in those ads and in those opportunities.
Great representatives and ambassadors for us as a department, and great ambassadors for businesses to connect with a consumer. And so that's where the magic takes place, and where we've got a responsibility to really facilitate that connection.
Well, Doug, as we head in the final few minutes here, let's talk about your Baylor ties a bit. A lot of discussion centered on that when you were announced. Of course, a lot of people here at Baylor know you or know of you from your time here in the past. But I'm curious, I even learned some things I didn't know, just how far back your family legacy goes. How much and why were you celebrating that recent news, the massive gift that named the Moody School of Education? Why was that special to you?
Yeah, it's really special. I shared that with amongst my family. My grandfather was the dean of the School of Education in the late 70s, early 80s. So near and dear for sure for us. I have a sister with 2 degrees from the School of Ed. My master's degree is from the School of Ed. And so, we have a long lineage. My dad was raised here in Waco, went to Richfield High School, and went to Baylor, and ultimately met my mom at University of Indiana University, in Bloomington. But our connection goes deep to the university, and growing up, coming to games, visiting grandparents here in Waco, and getting to go to Baylor athletic events is a vivid memory for me. And so really excited for the School of Ed, and so grateful for the Moody Foundation for their commitment to just make that a transformational gift, and for us in a very small way, for my wife and I, once we got settled in, one of the first things we wanted to do is give back to the School of Ed as well too. And so we were really honored to participate in a scholarship endowment, because the School of Ed has made such a difference for the McNamee family, for us. So hopeful to do that for others as well. But there are a lot of memories for me that have been formative in my life because of Baylor. And so to have the chance and to come back and serve it in this capacity is a really, really good thing.
And we're going to touch on some of those on Baylor's social media here, get a few quick hitters of some of your favorite moments or memories. But one thing social media did, I want to ask you, for people who don't know exactly when you attended Baylor, graduated from Baylor, our social media team did a thing a couple years ago where they said, tell us when you went to Baylor without telling us when you went to Baylor. So what are a couple facts about your time at Baylor, something that happened here that would give us a clue as to when you attended?
I'll give you 2. The Student Life Center, the McLean Student Life Center, opened the week of my welcome week.
Oh, wow.
As a freshman. So that's a big one. And then I would say the other one that I'll say is I went to Baylor when the intramural fields were where the science building is now. And that certainly has moved over towards where the Hawkins indoor is. But having the intramurals right there, kind of in a little bit more of the heart of campus, was a pretty awesome experience. While people run around the Bear Trail, playing flag football or softball or something out there was a fun experience. And part of when I was in school, that was where it was located.
So you have 2 Baylor degrees, 03 and 05. And so you're here from about 99 to 05 as a student?
Yeah, I came in fall of 1999 and graduated with my master's in May of 05 and started working, for ISP, which is kind of an affiliate company of Baylor, really May of 05, just simultaneously rolled right into it. So.
And you and your wife, Lacey, and now your daughters, you've been here in Waco the whole time. This is home.
Yeah, we never left. And, even when I departed Magnolia, was thinking through what the next step was for me, leading a media company, not a lot of options in Waco, but it was always a non-negotiable for me that it was going to have to be in Waco or a remote opportunity. And so Field & Stream afforded me the opportunity to work remotely because our team was through the United States, but Waco has been home for us, and God willing will be the home for us for the future.
Well, and certainly we can see the fruits of the work you did at Magnolia and the continued success, the Magnolia Network, and a lot of their multimedia outreaches, Field & Stream as well. But Baylor's home. Baylor is where you've been, where you're back, and you've really painted this picture as we've been talking. But as we wind down, we talk a lot about the fact it's true. Baylor Athletics is the front porch to the university that you love. It's the introduction for so many people. What does it mean to you to get to steward those efforts that touch people who love Baylor and people who will in the future?
Well, I think for me, it starts with recognition that the university and the leadership of the university, whether our board, our president, has made a statement and a commitment and an investment to ensure athletics are viable and fruitful at Baylor. And so, I'd go back to my last 7 years of working for owners and investors and just recognizing that relationship. And, there's expectations for a return. And so same thing is true for us here with Baylor Athletics. There has been an investment by our university because of the belief in athletics and the belief that if athletics is operating at the level that we expect it to, that it will provide a return. And that return is really awareness and visibility that couldn't be purchased for a lesser amount. And I think when you look at the best days of Baylor Athletics, you look at the best days for other athletic departments, there's zero question about was the investment worth the return, because admission sees the benefit, development and the philanthropic side of the rest of campus sees the benefit. It's an engagement opportunity for people to plug back into the university that's hard to match. And so I just want us to ensure that we are delivering that ROI. And that means that we're operating at a high level. We're engaging our constituency. We're providing them a great experience. We're winning. We need to win. We can't discard the importance of that's a big part of it. It's not the only thing, but it's a big part of it. And so that's what success for me looks like, and the responsibility that I carry as far as leading athletics to ensure that we're doing just that.
Well, Doug, it's been an exciting few weeks. See the energy surrounding your announcement. Now, hopefully, as we head into March, into spring, some more wins ahead on the court, on the field. And we'll also look forward even a few months down the line to that first off season as you get to take those steps that take place once sports slow down. But hopefully not until a few more wins, championships perhaps along the way. But Doug, really appreciate you jumping on with us. Thanks for the time. We look forward to what's ahead.
Thanks, Derek. It was fun.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Doug McNamee, Baylor's Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, our guest today here on Baylor Connections. I'm Derek Smith. Appreciate you being with us. A reminder, you can find each episode of video at Baylor University's YouTube channel, and each episode's audio is available online, baylor.edu/connections, and on iTunes. Thanks for joining us here on Baylor Connections.